guys, welcome to Kimber's Craft Studio. Today I'm going to be showing you a fancy fun fold. First we're going to get started with 2 pieces of Coastal Cabana. My larger sheet is cut at 4 1/4 by 11. The smaller sheet is cut at 11 by 1 1/2. And before I got here, I scored each of these. I scored them at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. Next, I'm going to use my bone folder to create a mountain and a valley where my score marks are. And I'm going to use my bone folder to secure my creases. I'm going to do that on both sheets of paper. So I'm going to create a mountain on the small part here and a valley. And I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure that there's a good crease there. Now I'm going to put this to the side. Next, I'm going to bring out my stamp set, the Bonanza Buddy stamp set, and I'm going to stamp my happy birthday sentiment on a piece of cardstock that I also cut in Coastal Cabana. This circle was cut at 1 1/4 using the 1 1/4 inch punch, and this black circle was cut at 1 1/2, and this is basic black. I'll have all of the materials that I use and the cutting dimensions in the links below. So now I'm going to use a little tone on tone, taking out my Coastal Cabana ink pad, and I'm going to stamp my happy birthday sentiment. Now, this 1 1/4 inch circle is pretty small, so I got to get my head in there to make sure that this entire sentiment fits within my circle. And I'm going to press to make sure the ink transfers and hope I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm going to close up my ink pad. And now I'm going to stamp something that I thought was really cute from that Bonanza Buddies stamp set. I'm going to stamp this toucan. But before I do that, I'm going to need to use a technique called masking, because I want to make it look as if the toucan is wearing a hat. So I'm going to get out my Coastal Cabana again and pray I don't stick my finger in it. I'm going to try to center this hat as best as I can on this 3 by 3 inch Whisper White cardstock. I'll say right about here. Okay. Clean off my stamp. Now I'm going to take this die cut piece that is part of the Bonanza Buddies bundle, and it's a die cut of this tiny little triangle, and I put a little removable adhesive on the back so that I'd be able to remove this once I stamped my image. So I'm going to put that triangle here. I'm going to get my stamp mat, because with photopolymers you want to make sure that you have a little cushion. Let me close up this Coastal Cabana so I don't get into trouble here. Okay, now with my Memento ink, I'm going to ink up my little toucan, and I'm going to try to position it so that the hat is directly in the center of his head. And I'm going to stamp. Okay, and then I'm going to remove his little hat here. Save these little die cuts. Keep them with your stamp sets, because you'll never know when you need them again. Okay. Close this up. And now I'm going to come in with the little pom-pom that is also part of that bundle. And I'm going to stamp the pom-pom in Daffodil Delight. There you go. Okay, now it's gonna start to look like a card. So I'm taking my larger sheet of paper that we started with at the beginning of this show, and I'm gonna use a piece of the designer series paper, and that's from Birthday Buddies, the Birthday Bonanza designer series. And I'm not quite sure if I want to use this side of the DSP or this side of the DSP because I like both of them. I think I'm gonna go with the fun side. Okay, so I'm gonna take my permanent adhesive, and if you hear any shaking around, it's my dog. He decided to come and visit me in the craft room. And I'm going to put some adhesive on the back. And I am using my silicone mat, excuse me. Nothing sticks to it. So if by any chance you get adhesive on this mat, you can just rub it right off. So I'm going to position this in the center of this panel, just like that, okay? And I got a little bit of adhesive on the outside, so I'm gonna use this little adhesive remover. Unfortunately, they no longer sell these at Stampin' Up, but I was able to order this, I think, off of Amazon. Okay, and there you go. Okay, the next thing is, I have a basic black template, and those dimensions are 3.5 by 3.5. So what I'm gonna do now is before I do that, let me do this. I'm gonna take the partner to this sheet of paper, long side. Maybe not. Yes, long side to long side. Because when I close, it's gonna be like this. Okay, there we go. Okay, I had to talk it through. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my adhesive, permanent adhesive here, and I wanna make sure that I'm only putting glue on the end here because I don't want it to go to any other part of my card before I'm ready. Okay, so I'm gonna take that piece, and I think maybe about 3/4 of the way down, I'm going to press. Next, I'm gonna take a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and the dimensions for the Whisper White cardstock are 4 by 5.25. That's gonna go on this panel here. Okay. And this time, just to be on the safe side, to make sure I get it centered, I'm gonna use my multi-glue by Tombow Mono. This allows you to have some wiggle room, especially when you're a beginner card maker. Sometimes using the actual adhesive tape, if you're not good at getting things centered right off the bat, this gives you a little cushion so that you can adjust your template, and it dries clear, which is a plus. Okay. Okay. So now that's in place. Okay. So this is where the fun starts. This is the reason why this card has to be done in stages, because I need to know where these folds are gonna line up so that I will know exactly where to place the sentiment that I want on the inside of my card. So I am going to take my pencil, and I'm just gonna make a little dot here so that I could stamp my sentiment, and then I'll go back in and I'll erase that. So for this, I'm gonna use my Memento ink. Gonna stamp it up. Okay. And fingers crossed this is straight. That looks pretty good. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna put this to the side just for 1 minute because we have another step. Okay. So I have a piece of basic black cardstock. I have a piece of Coastal Cabana, and then I have this little guy, which I feel like I need to add some balloons or something to him, but I'm gonna put that to the side, and we'll do that a little later. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of the Coastal Cabana so I can layer it on top of my basic black cardstock. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna do the same with my toucan. You should see this craft room. I have my dog Zeke in here and my cat Zoe, and in a minute they're gonna terrorize each other. So I may have to pause for a second before there's a problem. Okay. Come on, boy, sit by me. Zoe is the baby of the house. She's about 8 months old. Zeke is going on 8 years old, and she is the queen of the house. Okay, next I'm gonna take my 1.5 inch circle punch and my 1 1/4 circle punch cardstock, and I'm gonna put some tape on the back here. Try to center that as best as I can. Okay. Okay, now this part of my flap, I can go ahead and put some adhesive. Okay, I want to tuck this in and line it up here. Now, if you have any overhang, like I have right here, it happens. You take your snips, go right up against the edge here, and carefully cut it off. Okay. Okay, so I decided that my toucan was a little plain, so I'm gonna try another masking technique. I'm gonna cover up the toucan. I am going to take my black pigmento ink and I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed because I didn't practice this. So I'm hoping that my balloons will look like they're coming out, they're being held by his tail, or by his hands right here, rather. And I'm gonna press and hope I get a really good image. Okay, so we're gonna fix that. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. We're gonna go ahead, we'll make the balloons. Part of this is gonna get covered up anyway by this little happy birthday. Okay, so next, these little balloon sticks need, or balloon strings rather, need a pop of color. So, because this one string is really close to his hat, I'm gonna use my handy dandy mask here so that it looks like the balloon is coming out from behind his head. Okay, we will do one balloon and Coastal Cabana. Clean that off with my trusty chamois. Do another one in Daffodil Delight. And we'll do one more down here in Coastal Cabana. I might have to mask this balloon. Okay. I took off my mask. I'm not so happy with the way the balloon came out, but guess what? We're gonna go with it. Let me see if I can line it up and stamp off maybe. And because they're the same color, it may work. See, I make mistakes too. But guess what? I'm not so mad at this. Okay, next I'm gonna color in the beak. Let's see, I'm gonna go in with a little, I'm going with my light Calypso Coral. I think I'm gonna do that here. And then I'll go in with my light Daffodil. Where do I want to put that? Let's try here. Then I'm going to go in with a little dark Calypso Coral at the tip of the beak. Okay, and now I'm going to leave well enough alone. All right. Okay, we're just about done. So I decided that I didn't like the tone on tone for my little birthday circle here. So off camera, I re-stamped it in black Memento ink. What, you think Oprah never had to do a retake? All right. So I'm gonna use, what I also did was, I know that I want my card right about here and here so that it will cover the little sentiment underneath. So I put little pencil marks here. And what I'm gonna do is, inside of those pencil marks, I'm gonna use especially on this side, I'm gonna use my Tombow Mono and put a little line of it here. And I'm going to lay my card down. And again, Tombow Mono is so forgiving, especially if you're a beginner crafter, because although it takes a little longer for it to dry, It's very forgiving and it dries virtually invisible. So I'm gonna press here just to make sure my little birdie stays put. Okay, got a little bit of glue on the outside. Gonna get rid of that with this, with my saving grace here. Okay, and the last little thing I need to do is I'm gonna come in with my Stampin' Dimensionals and I'm gonna put them around this, the back of this circle here. I think 2 should be enough, but I wanna add a little bit of dimension for the sentiment. And as I said earlier, this little gap where the balloon didn't quite reach his tail, I'm gonna cover that right on up so you'll never know the difference. And that's it. Isn't that cute? That's my fun fold. And to make it even cuter, what I'm gonna do is on the left-hand side here of my card, I'm gonna use my Take Your Pick tool. And I have these cute little rhinestones that come from the Noble Peacock rhinestone set. And I wanna put one about here. And another one right about here to finish it off. And this is the end result. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also click that bell icon so you'll be alerted when I add a new video. If you are looking for a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to send you a complimentary catalog. Just visit me on the web at kimberscrafts.com. As always, it's been a pleasure spending this time with you. In the comment section below, let me know what types of videos you'd like to see. And once again, happy stamping!